So that is Hiatus Coyote, Make Friends, and I'm joined by my live guest on this month's show, Alice Russell.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So nice to see you and meet you.
Hello.
How are you doing? You
I'm
have
right.
just put out a new album into the world. How's things?
Yeah, it was a long time coming, so it was like, finally. So now I'm just sort of cranking back into doing stuff and live stuff and seeing how people receive it.
Yeah,
You never know.
I was thinking back to when I first heard your music, and it's funny because it was a long time ago. It was on one of your first albums, and my favourite Letters album, which we got in 2005. And I was at uni, and me and my friend Lizzie, every Sunday we would do a student radio show, because we just love music, and we'd usually be very hungover, and we'd go into this studio that smelt like rotten eggs.
Ooh, nice. Sulphur.
Very hungover. And we would play songs that we loved, and she loved that album, and she introduced me to it, and I think we played Mean to Me a few times.
Yeah.
And then obviously then kind of like post uni we loved Bonobo and Quantic and Cinematic Orchestra and all that sort of stuff. So I played you back, probably one of the first artists I played on the radio, even though it was Birmingham Student Radio a long time ago.
Yeah, well, it's radio.
And here we are, like 15 years later or whatever. So I'm really happy to have you in, and I love the new record. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So talk to me a little bit about the backdrop for this, because it sort of came off a period of grief and new journeys of motherhood and things, but also losing close family members. So tell me a bit about what set the album up, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of said it. No, I suppose 2013 I'd released To Dust. We'd done like quite a lot of touring. And I remember that year we were doing loads of festivals. But my dad was really ill, and he did pass away in July 2013. And then literally a week after his funeral, I found out I was pregnant with Agnes.
Yeah.
So it was like one in, one out. Didn't really have much time to process anything. And then obviously became a mum. Yeah. Which is a big change in life, which it should be. Yeah. So I was still doing some gigs, but obviously life had changed a bit, and I was trying to keep going, we're going to... But it was kind of an enforced break. And now looking back on it, I'm so pleased, because it made me go much deeper. And that's where we've ended up with this record. Yeah. 10 years later, though. But, we're still here.
Yeah, but things take time, don't they?
It's time.
We had a little panny D in a little pandemic, which we mentioned. Exactly. Which, but that kind of, that took some time, didn't it?
Yeah, we all had to just hide away. It's good. Good for us.
And also, I guess, the journey that is the grief and the kind of duality of that, of like life and death in a way, like happening to you. Yeah. It's such a monumental thing, becoming a mum for the first time, but then also losing a parent, which is pretty tough. I've had it recently, so it's tough, isn't it? Yeah. So how was that journey of, like, because you said you probably didn't have that much time, but... No. What was that grief wave like? Did it hit you later, or were you just in it at that moment? Or
no, I don't think I was in it, because it's so weird. Death is weird, isn't it? Yeah. And seeing someone not there anymore, and it does give you a really good feeling of like your body and your soul when you see someone that's... And he decided to wait until everyone had gone, because we were sitting with him the last couple of weeks in hospital, and it's like he decided to wait until everyone had gone, and then it was just me and him. Yeah. And then off he went. Yeah. And then, of course, getting pregnant, it was like I didn't have time to think about it, really. And I think it is really weird, because you have to do lots of practicalities around that and help mum, my sisters. So it's just strange, isn't it? Yeah. And you can't really get your head around it. And then having a little baby, I was just in that whirlwind of that, you know. So grief's a weird one, I think, for everyone. It's a long process.
Yes.
And it pops up.
Pops up, doesn't it? Sort of like catches you at different times.
Randomly.
Yeah. But I was interested on the opener of the album. It's a track called Agreement. Yeah. And you do say, we don't get forever to grieve. I loved that. I really related to that. What was the meaning for you of that?
So for me, that kind of is about the grief that we connect to death, but it's also the grief about all the other stuff in our lives. You can't... I suppose I've been saying... shit will get off the pot a bit with emotions and your relationships, especially towards yourself. Having kids made me reflect on the bits I didn't want to pass on. Good bit of therapy helps. Yes. But I think not having forever to go, it's like you can't, you have to really sort of try and get as reflective as you can about all the things that have upset you or shaped you, so that you can then connect to the people that are still here and move on, and have those deep, loving relationships that we all want and deserve.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that sort of process of kind of getting on with it, isn't it? Once all the ceremonies and everything happen, there's a bit of closure, and then suddenly it's just like, oh, did that even happen? It's a weird thing, isn't it? But then you grieve for the rest of your life for that person in some way.
Yeah, and also they are sort of just memory. They're just in our memories. Yeah. Like, something will trigger it, a smell or a piece of music. And you'll just, that's all we are as well. I think about a friend who I haven't seen for ages who lives in Australia. I think I haven't seen her, but she's in my memory, and it's kind of that similar thing but then the finiteness of someone dying is you're not going to see them again
physically, but then
I think that's it. That's the gut punch.
Yeah, the sucker punch, and then they sort of exist in a different way, don't they? Mm-hmm. And then what was it like, this sort of very personal album that's come out of you? What was it like getting back in the studio with TM Duke, who's a long-time collaborator? What was different about making this record, or how did it flow? So the flow, interesting flow as well, because it's so stop-starty, because also my mum she's got diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2020, just before lockdown. Yeah. So it was I had the kid, so every time in the studio was really vital to just knuckle down and try and focus. But also we had this decision, because I'd started writing, I think I'd written I Am before any of the other stuff came. And we sort of made this decision, because often we co-wrote together. He's written one track on this album, Gravity, which is sort of his little... He's had some stuff as well. And then we made a very conscious decision for me to write on my own, and then I'd bring the songs to him. Yeah. Whereas before we do it all in the studio together. So it was much more introspective and time for me to go there. Yeah. Dig deep.
Yeah. So we did it. Yeah. But yeah, it was a very stop-starty process.
Yes. And then did you get into a studio at some point sort of later down the line?
Yeah, well,
how did you build it out, sort of thing?
So Al's got a really lovely studio at the Metway in Brighton, and he's just got some really lovely old equipment now, and he'd sort of developed as a producer since the time we'd made the other record. So I felt like we were both coming with very new things. So yeah, we just, I don't know, just made the most of that time whenever we got in there.
Yeah, and sort of got down to it.
Yeah.
Well, because I want to talk about the vocals on the record. Not only do your vocals sound sublime, there's so many layered vocals and backing vocals and kind of almost gospel vocals sort of in the background. Was that all you layering it up?
It is, yeah. Actually, there's a couple of Al, really deep and pitched down. Yeah. Sometimes I make him do a few. But yeah, we were going to get other singers, but then... time constraints and different reasons, I just went for it myself. Yeah.
And it really adds a richness to the record, I think, and a kind of another layer of emotion, I think. Yeah. And really gorgeous.
Doing it as you go along, because I'm terrible at remembering what I've done sometimes, because you sketch stuff out. Actually, just listening to Hiatus Katie, because her stuff is just off the hook.
I know.
It makes me go, shit. Like really, the way it seems more... mathematical flow with hers, but in an amazing way, so with me I'm a bit naughty, and I probably could do with a bit more rigour with my harmonies.
Oh, so with that, did you just try whatever, go with it? Yeah.
And sometimes throw it in. Sort of deconstruct, but most of the time you just go with what felt good.
Yeah. And was it a cathartic thing then, sort of pouring all this stuff into this record? Like, how do you feel? What's your relationship with it now that you sort of got it all out? And I'm sure people are reacting to it in a really lovely way, I'm sure.
Yeah, we did Resident Records in Brighton, which is the first time. It's so gorgeous.
I love it, yeah.
And it was intimate, a lovely group of people, and there were tears, mine and theirs. So it was, because you just don't know how people are going to receive it, and it is quite different tempo and to my other stuff, but... it feels like people need a bit more of this right now. Yeah. It's weird. I get some messages on Instagram as well about people telling me about all sorts of stuff opening up. But it's lovely as well.
Sort of a hug. I had an artist called Daudi Matsiko on last month. And we were talking about his record, and it's sort of just like being held by music, and just a hug is the same thing. Yeah. Let's play a track, and then I've got you for a while. I don't finish till 2, so I'm going to chat lots to Alice about all these things and try and play a couple of tracks off the record. But yeah, I've got the album. I've played the singles, so I think let's dig into some of the other stuff. Square was the track that I put at the top of my thing. Can you tell me about this track?
Ooh. So these ones are kind of more where I started thinking outwards and just about how if we could all just get a bit more reflective and not be it helps us not be part of the problem. I won't go too into political stuff going on right now, but there's so much division and sort of, when people just do the sort of shout at each other, and it really upsets me because I just think, oh my God, you always have compassion for those people that are just shouting into the void, but it's kind of like that song is about just, come on, we need to all just be reflective. Let's just think about what we're really doing here. And just, try and connect to the people around you.
Yeah, connect rather than this like device, like I think the echo chamber.
Yeah. And people shouting, especially at the moment.
The internet's so shouty, isn't it?
It is. And I do try and get back to some people. There was this journalist, actually a German journalist, who literally just kept sending me these sort of shouty things about what I posted. And I thought, and some people were like, just block him. I was like, do you know what? First of all, try and have a conversation and gently state your point. Nothing back. And it was really big. I gave him a lovely long paragraph. Yeah. I was listening to him, but it was really shouty. Yeah. And it's, sometimes people will get engaged, always give them a chance too. But it's just really hard when people just, that's their thing and they won't listen. So it's scary.
Yeah. Well, let's hear it. This is Square. Ooh. And more from Alice Russell after this. So that is a tune called Square, and it's from the new Alice Russell album, I Am. Alice is in the studio with me right now. It just sounds so great. It's so good to hear another record from you. I know it's like, I guess a decade just sort of flew past. How for you, has obviously the musical landscape, the industry landscape's changed hugely from when you started out. How's it been for you, kind of making this record?
I think the difference is before, I think I was always sort of chasing a bit, and we were always doing a tour and then get back in the studio and sort of, I think from having kids and all the stuff, I'm kind of not, I'm a bit more like, let's just see what happens. And I have a lot more faith in this record than I have in past releases. So I just feel like, I'm just going with it and seeing what happens. Whereas before I was so like, we need to do this. We've got to, And I think it has changed. Like most people, like records, it takes ages for people to even know you've released something. Do you know what I mean? There's so much stuff out there. Yeah. Making a big noise. Yeah.
In the past, you've said artists like Shaka Khan and Jill Scott and Eva Cassidy and Aretha Franklin, obviously all big inspirational artists. Do you listen to music? Was there anything over this period of 10 years making this record that you is there anything that is keeping that inspiration, that fire alive of love of music?
Loads. So much music. In lockdown, I sort of got into the Heart Leap album with Vashti Mannion. And a lot of Napalm, obviously. Yes. Because she had her blip with breast cancer, didn't she? I remember seeing her singing from all that was sort of happening, and they're back on it now with their album. Yeah, so much stuff, and a lot of classical. I've been listening to a lot of lots of different stuff.
Lots of stuff. Do you collect records and things? Do you have vinyl? In the house,
But I haven't played it as much because of the kids, but now they're older. So you kind of have to just go a bit Bluetoothy for a bit, and then well, now you can,
and then you can introduce them to the good stuff. You kind of those parents where you're like, make sure we put on nice records that, are you influencing their taste too?
Oh no, I mean Agnes is into Olivia Rodriguez. Yeah. So I get to listen to that, although Billie Eilish, I'm not her fast ones I don't like, but her slow stuff, she's amazing.
Gorgeous.
What was the Barbie one?
The Barbie one, what was I made for?
Yeah,
I think it's called.
It's fantastic. The lyrics, the melody, it's fantastic. Fast ones, not so much. But her slow songs are just I know it's her and her brother, Phineas. But Agnes is into that kind of, heartbreaky.
Yes.
Yeah, guitar stuff. I get introduced to a lot of this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I love Olivia Rodrigo. She's been playing St. Vincent's guitar. Do you know that Annie Clark designed a guitar for a breast? It's like this really cool guitar that's designed for women. And it's very cool. Yeah. And Olivia Rodrigo's been playing it on tour.
Well, I'll have to show. She wants to go and see her live.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do the way we get to the kids. If we sometimes on a Friday night we do YouTube videos, old school ones of like the stuff we used to love.
Yes.
To show the kids. It seems to be a better way sometimes to show them old videos.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Subconsciously just planting the seeds.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Sorts. And then do you listen to much sort of external music when you're making a record, or actually do you try to get out of that headspace?
This is the first record where I really didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go, I want this to sound like that. And I think it shows a lot more. I did try and there was so much stuff going on. I was literally fielding calls from carers and stuff for my mum and then the kids. So I didn't have the band. I almost was too emotional to go there with some music, especially in lockdown. I found sometimes I listened to poetry podcasts instead for a while. But yeah, I didn't do that this record, which is weird. We did with other ones, but yeah, try to just keep it. Yes. Which is hard because it's all in there anyway. Yeah, all the influences are already in there. So.
Yeah, sort of flying around. In some way. What's in terms of live stuff? How is this record translating live? And because I know you're building up to a big Village Underground show, which is going to be amazing.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So we did it at We Out Here last year.
Yeah.
So we have had a couple of little tries.
Mm-hmm.
And Al is doing a bit of live guitar, but he's also doing a lot of triggers because there's lots of other layers to this. And we're getting the live drums, but also some lovely little triggered pad sounds, which gives it that kind of spacey sound. And obviously, much to my agent's displeasure, no, I'm joking, I'm trying to take a bigger band, I need the BVs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? With this album, I mean, we could strip it back, but it feels like the bare minimum is about 7 of us.
Yes.
With someone at my level, which isn't that big, it's difficult, but that's what we're going with. So
yeah, to really realise it live. Yeah. Well, the Village Underground show will be amazing. And how good is We Out Here? I think it's the best festival.
We loved it. I loved it just because there's so many people that you want to see. I mean, the lineup this year is crazy.
Yeah. It's just gorgeous people, amazing music, such a vibe. Love it. I'm going to have to go again this year. And then, Village Underground, and then any other live things. Are you used to putting a few things into the diary?
We're doing Cheltenham Jazz, and then we're doing Love Supreme this year.
Yeah. And
a few dates in France. And I think we'll be looking at touring at the end of the year and trying getting out to the States and then doing some more UK shows. See, I mean, that's the thing. It's like you just have to see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, let's play another track from the record. Another one that was on top of my of the not the singles was Things. So lovely. It's so good. Tell me about the making of this, or was there like a story behind it or something that inspired it?
This one feels like more of a rant. I mean, Square, these two. And at the end of Square, it's like see it from the other side. So as we were talking about people just shouting at each other, it's just another plea to sort of, come on, please. I know it's so like cheesy as well, but it's like really try and listen to each other. But the only way to do that really is people to work on themselves first, and then their shit isn't melding with other people, projecting and all that stuff. So it's another one of those songs where it's just like trying to get people to sit and be with each other, but listen and see each other properly. Yeah. And see each other as the other person as well, which helps. Yes. Could definitely do with a bit more compassion.
Yeah, empathy, compassion, love,
yeah,
unity.
All of that. Yeah, just humanity would be great now. Yeah. Can we get some of that?
Yeah. Okay, well, let's hear it. On that note, this is Alice Russell and Things. So one of my favourite tracks off the record, Things, from Alice Russell's I Am, out now on Tru Thoughts. Alice has been my guest. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
We were just talking about the production on this. Yeah, really sublime kind of electronic backdrop. and a recorder.
Yeah, we got Ben Jones to dig out his treble.
Oh, okay. I think
that's the bass.
Yeah, I think that's probably why it sounds so great, because I'm thinking of myself, recorder class.
Yeah,
aged 8. It was not a pretty.
Oh yeah,
pretty sight.
That's so good. Like in schools, you have to pay. Like back in the good old days, you'd all have a go at learning to do the recorder.
Yeah, Baba Black
or
Sheep
something.
On the recorder. But yeah, they've made it sound really lovely in the mix there.
Laid it up.
Yeah. So Alice, is it going to take you another 10 years to make a record?
No,
What are the plans? Are you starting to write some new bits? Or?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm already getting ideas. The difference is this time I think I need to just shut myself, get a little hut.
Yeah.
But no, and obviously just coming back out and doing more live shows, it sort of does get the creative juices going. And there's obviously a lot going on politically at the moment that you feel a bit like a responsibility to knuckle down and try and do stuff that can connect. So yeah, I am feeling it at the moment.
And do you love of the process? There's the recording and then the live. Is it really good to be getting back out there live, or what's the favourite bit?
Well, you have the ignition, that little mad spark when you're creating something, and you don't know what it's going to translate to until you do it live. But you have that joy of when you first create something, then you don't know until you release it, and then you still don't know until you do it live. So yeah, but I do love the liveness. It's more immediate.
Yeah.
And sort of, yeah.
And let's finish on another track from the record, Sinner.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me about this as we play
Sinner,
it.
out of all of them, is more about romantic relationships. I feel the rest of them are just about all relationships in general, which, and this again is about how messy it can get if you don't sort your own house out and project onto the other person. If you can just work out who you are first, you can have there's just so much more flow to all relationships then. And it's hard for all of us. So it's more about that.
Okay. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Alice Russell and Sinner.